March 1943. The North Atlantic is a graveyard. For Allied ships sailing from America to Britain, the journey is a death sentence, and the deadliest weapon isn't a torpedo. It's a sound. This sound, the rhythmic, pounding signature of a ship's propeller, a dinner bell for predators lurking in the deep. To the German U-boat crews, this noise was a beacon. They could hear a convoy from 50, even 100 miles away. They called themselves the wolf packs, and they were hunting with terrifying success, sinking ships faster than they could be built. Britain, an island nation, was being choked, starved into surrender. The Allied war effort was on the brink of collapse. The situation seemed hopeless. The ocean belonged to the U-boats, but the solution to this impossible problem was unborn in a top-secret government lab, or devised by the world's leading engineers. It came from the most unlikely place imaginable, the noisy, steamy galley of a humble liberty ship, the SS William Eustace. And it came from the mind of a 28-year-old cook named Tommy Lawson. Lawson was no scientist. He was a cook from Boston, tasked with peeling potatoes and feeding a hungry crew. But he was observant. During one brutal U-boat attack, as he watched another ship in their convoy take a fatal hit, he noticed something strange. As the torpedo tore through the hull and the sea rushed in, the ship went eerily silent. The constant, grinding noise of its machinery just stopped. An insane, impossible idea began to form in his mind. What if you could use water, not to sink a ship, but to silence it? He grabbed a pencil and paper and began to sketch. His idea was simple, almost childishly so. He drew plans for crude, water-filled chambers to be built around the loudest part of the ship, the propeller shaft tunnel. The water, he reasoned, would absorb the sound vibrations before they could escape into the ocean. When he showed his hand-drawn sketches to the ship's chief engineer, he was laughed out of the engine room. A cook, meddling in naval architecture, he was told to get back to his galley and stick to peeling potatoes. Anyone else would have given up. But Lawson had seen too many ships and too many friends go to the bottom of the Atlantic. He was desperate. So, when his ship docked in Liverpool, he did something incredibly bold, something that could have landed him in a military prison. And for a moment it did. He walked straight past the guards at the gate of the Western Approaches Command, the nerve center of the Battle of the Atlantic, and demanded to see an admiral. He was immediately arrested by the Royal Navy Patrol. He didn't get to see an admiral, but his frantic story about silencing ships reached the ears of someone who was just as desperate as he was. Commander Peter Gretton. Gretton was a battle-hardened officer who had lost too many men and too many ships to the wolfpacks. He was tired of sending crews to their deaths. Looking at Lawson's crude drawings, he saw a glimmer of hope where everyone else had seen foolishness. Gretton decided to authorize a rogue, off-the-books experiment. He looked Lawson in the eye and said, "If this fails, my career is over, and you'll probably end up in the brig." In a quiet corner of a Liverpool dry dock, a secret operation began. Under Lawson's direction, welders attached a series of crude steel drums and rubber bladders to the hull of a corvette, the HMS Sunflower. It was a bizarre, patchwork job. It looked messy, unprofessional, and completely absurd. Any proper naval engineer would have been horrified. They called it Lawson's Folly. The moment of truth arrived. The modified HMS Sunflower sailed out for a test. With a friendly British submarine lurking below, its hydrophone operators listening intently. On the deck, Lawson and Commander Gretton waited, their nerves stretched to the breaking point. The report came back from the submarine. Failure. They could still hear the ship perfectly, but Lawson, listening to the vibrations under his feet, realized the flaw. The chambers weren't sealed properly. The sound was leaking out. They made adjustments, sealed everything tight, and tried again. This time, silence. On the deck of the Sunflower, the only sounds were the wind and the gentle wash of the waves. The deep, mechanical rumble of the ship's heart was gone. A short while later, the submarine surfaced with a stunning report. The operator was incredulous. "We lost you at 400 yards, he said. You just vanished." The cook's ridiculous idea had worked. They had turned a warship into a ghost. But a single test wasn't enough. When Gretton presented the data to the Admiralty's High Command, he was met with a wall of skepticism. A cook, using water chambers to silence a ship. It violated every known principle of naval engineering. The top scientists dismissed it out of hand. But the numbers didn't lie. Convoy losses were catastrophic. With nothing left to lose, they gave a reluctant green light to a full-scale battle test. They fitted 6 merchant ships with Lawson's Folly. The very next convoy to sail, ONS 184, headed straight into an ambush. The U-boats were waiting. The battle was a bloodbath. Over the course of 2 days, 9 ships were torpedoed and sent to the bottom of the Atlantic. But something miraculous happened. The 6 quiet ships, the ones fitted with Lawson's invention, sailed right through the heart of the Wolfpack, completely unharmed. The U-boat commanders were baffled. Their hydrophones picked up nothing. The ships were invisible to their ears. For the first time, the hunters were blind. The impact on the war was immediate and devastating for the Germans. The tide of the Battle of the Atlantic turned almost overnight. In May of 1943, a month that would become known to the German Navy as Black May, U-boat losses quadrupled. Allied ship losses plummeted. The convoy system, the lifeline of Britain, was saved. The Wolfpacks were broken. And what became of Tommy Lawson? After the war, the quiet hero from Boston went home, opened a small diner, and rarely, if ever, spoke of his role in winning the war. When he passed away, his obituary made no mention of silencing the Atlantic. But his legacy sails on today. Every modern warship in the world, from aircraft carriers to nuclear submarines, uses a direct descendant of his system. So the next time you hear a story about a lone genius who changes the world, remember the cook who silenced an ocean. He had no degree, no rank, and no business solving a problem that had stumped the world's greatest minds. He just paid attention, trusted his own eyes, and had the incredible courage to believe that sometimes the simplest idea can silence the loudest threat. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this story as incredible as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden histories. We'll see you in the next one.